I feel like I'm about to give mycelium and psilocybin the podcast they've always deserved. What? Welcome back to the Mystic Rebels podcast. My name is Ashley. I am the divine feminine side of Mystic Rebels, where in our school Mystic Circle, we teach you all about tarot, herbalism, mysticism, self-empowerment, transformation magic, and more. And that's what this podcast is about. But today we're talking about depression. We're talking about a medicine that is available to us pretty much wherever you are on the globe. And it is here to tell us that there is help. And that depression, you may not like hearing it, but it's a choice. And I've made that choice many times in my life. And it's hard to admit that it's a choice because it's really just, we've gotten tired of playing this character that we've been playing for so long. And we need a new understanding of self and our connection to this world. And mycelium and psilocybin, y'all, I'm telling you, it's the jam. But it's not going to be for everyone, and we'll talk about that. So what is mycelium, Ashley? Mycelium, it is, in a nutshell, mycelium is a vast interconnected network of fungal threads that live underground, functioning as nature's communication and nutrient sharing system. It acts like an underground web, helping plants and trees exchange resources, share information, and maintain ecological balance. Think of it as the internet, or even better, before there ever was an internet, it's the interwoods. And it is everywhere. It is under our soil. It is in communication with pretty much every ecological necessity under our soil. And that's why we can put our feet on the dirt and have benefits, even if we don't have grass. This planet was made perfect, and so were we. And mycelium is a reminder of how we can work together and for ourselves when we remember communication, when we remember why we were put on this planet. And no one is alone. No one is meant to be alone. And sometimes I feel like the compressed spirit, which I've experienced myself, validates its own sense of no one wants me, no one loves me, I'm destined to be alone, so that you don't have to challenge yourself, so that when some bitch comes out and says it's a choice, you can be like, it's not a choice. And I completely understand when you're at that place. And I would say that if you are rooted in the fact that your depression can only be helped by somebody else doing it for you, or circumstances changing and it's not in your control, then this medicine is not going to be for you. Because the difference between plant medicine and allopathic medicine is it's vibrational medicine. And I understand that may sound woo-woo to some people, but we are vibrational beings. A good way to prove it through science is if you get an MRI, or if you get let's say you're getting your heart monitored, they put this stuff on you to test your heart, to test inside you, and to test your radial energy field. Like it's all energy. An MRI shows you the energy outside and within your body. At the heart, you can see without putting any probes inside you that there is something emanating from within. So we are energetic beings. You're an electrical being that's miraculous because you don't need to be plugged in. We don't actually need electricity like that. I'm grateful for it because otherwise this lighting would not be here. So thank you, Spirit. Thank you for all the people who created lighting. But we also forget the simplicity of healing and how by simply imprinting beliefs and redirecting thought patterns, we can transform our own experience and our own existence as far as being an energetic being. And plant medicine is energetic medicine. I know that there are a lot of people who believe in the astrological field and looking at plants like that, and there may be an expression of Venus or an expression of Mars or an expression like that. And I love that. But at the same time, it's Earth. It's an expression of Mother Gaia and her vast magic and healing pharmacy that is available to us anytime. We were given this planet as a gift in stewardship, and we are meant to be of service to this planet simultaneously without asking for anything in return, because there are literally systems within plants that are of no benefit to them, unlike human beings and other beings. But the plant doesn't ask for anything in return, but just take care of me. Please don't hurt me. Please understand me. And that I'm also a complicated being too. I'm an energetic being here to work with you. So if you don't have any friends, plants can become your friend, and they can be a doorway to being able to open yourself up, depending upon what plant you choose, or to be able to ground and feel more secure. And mycelium and psilocybin are two of my best friends. They are, in my postpartum journey, I felt very alone and isolated. And in the beginning stages of motherhood, whether it's your first child, your second, or your third, if you don't have a village around you, if you don't have somebody to bring you food or do your dishes or, help you, massage your feet or all these different things, or to just make you feel like it's not all on you. And that includes my husband, because he goes through the postpartum experience. The husbands or the partners, they also go through that experience. But when it's just the two of you, it's really hard. And so that's modern society, but that's where plant medicine comes in and reminds us that we're not alone. But that was a journey. That was a journey of me, and I found it for my husband first. For years, I'd been looking into psilocybin, and in order to understand that medicine on a very deep level, I want to explain to you what psilocybin is. It is the fruiting body of mycelium. Mycelium is the network of fungus under the ground, like we talked about before. It's an interconnected network. It is like a neural pathway, but it is far more advanced than the human brain. I'm going to say it. If you've seen, Avatar. If you've seen Avatar, and Sigourney Weaver is talking about the networks under the ground and how they're talking to each tree and how they're talking to every rock, and everything is a network. And what I love about that is I want to be like, that's our planet. That's our planet, you guys. It's not just in a movie. It's not just, oh my God, that's so interesting. Oh, that's so magical. Wouldn't that be nice? That's our planet. Mycelium is in constant communication, and the things underground and on the soil and the trees and everything is in constant communication. This planet was made perfect. And so were we. Now, when we talk about how they're in communication, there's nutrient exchange, there's warnings of threats. When plants experience threats like herbivores or pathogens, they can signal nearby plants through the mycelial network. For instance, if a plant is attacked by insects, it can release chemical signals through the mycelium to ward off or to warn other plants, which may then start producing protective chemicals. Like, hello! And that's also, it speaks to what our bodies do internally. When there is an invader, a pathogen, or something else, or a foreign substance, hello, with the modern day diet and processed foods, it goes to work to ward off the problem, to figure out the problem. The issue is when we're constantly eating fake food and our bodies don't know what to do with it, and then we become chronically ill or diseased or imbalanced, and we don't understand what happened, it's because we have to get back to our nature. It's because we have to get back to nature. And I'm not saying you have to eat only plants. I think there should be a balance. There's a great quote from a traditional Chinese medicine doctor where they were asking him, so you don't eat meat, right? They were basically insinuating that he was an herbivore. And he said, no, I'm a carnivore. You're a carnivore. You're a tiger. You don't have to eat too much meat, about a fistful a week. And I have to be perfectly honest with you guys. There have been many phases of my life, including this one, where I eat more than a fistful a week. But we have to find a balance. So there are nights where we don't eat meat, and there are nights when we do, and then there are days when I'm also breastfeeding. So I'm just like, give me the meat. So that's how our bodies and mycelium work. They support weaker plants as well. Mycelium can transport nutrients and water from healthier, more resourced plant material to the weaker, undersourced plant material. Like this is just it. Like, oh, I think I just joygasmed a little bit, even though I wrote this. These are all my notes. Effectively redistributing resources to support the health of the entire ecosystem. And that's also a reminder that as a community, as a people, we are not meant to be so separate from each other. We are not meant to be, you stay in your house and I stay in mine. Da, 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 da. No, if you have a garden and they have a garden, which we're supposed to, or if you're just growing a few herbs, you can give it to your neighbor and your neighbor can give you what you don't have. And we can pull resources in a way. I don't own a farm. I'm not on a farm, but we can do little things that can supplement us going to the grocery store or the farmer's market. And so we feel, and also getting your hands in dirt is amazing. It feels so good. And I was planting some California poppies earlier. I'm super excited about those blooming because it's an amazing medicine. We can talk about that on another podcast. But the California poppy, I was pulling it out, and I got it from an organic farmer from the farmer's market. And as I pulled it out, there was a worm. I was like, oh my God. Ah! I was like a little scared. Didn't scare the little guy. I was like, okay, bud, we'll get you in the ground. And I was just like, worms gross me out. Bugs sometimes freak me out, but I don't kill them. And I saw that as a blessing. There was a worm there. We could do a whole podcast talking about worms and why people use worms to break down their garbage. If more of us had compost piles, it would be a better world. But that's a whole nother talk. I think they can eat like 200 pounds worth of food in like 24 hours. I don't know. Don't quote me on that because I don't actually have a worm bin because we don't have the land for it. But one day we're going to have a worm bin and it's going to be amazing. Chemical communication. Mycelium releases enzymes and other compounds into the soil, which can help break down organic matter, recycle nutrients, and influence the soil's microbiome. The planet has a microbiome, and so do we. And our microbiome actually starts in the mouth. I'm about to do a very in-depth, this is in-depth too, a very in-depth podcast on oral decay and your teeth because it's just so important and we have to get through all the BS. In this day and age, we are in the age of Pisces, phase of Cancer and era of Pisces. So we're getting through this illusionary phase of all the BS that we've been taught for a very, very long time. And we're getting back to the spirit. We're interjecting and injecting the spirit back into medicine. And that's where plant medicine comes along. And I feel like I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be at the right time. Like, it's amazing how you can manifest into being the person that you've always dreamed of being. And I never would have guessed that I would have gotten off to plant stuff. I never would have guessed that I would be talking about mycelium with so much passion, but this is me. And whatever you're passionate about, you should also share with the world. But I think we need to get passionate about the planet, first and foremost. Environmental information. Mycelium can sense changes in the environment, like shifts in temperature, moisture, and pH. And again, as I'm talking about this, you need to know that your body has the same power. We are made of the same elements as this planet. So they were made perfect, we were made perfect. And everything needs to be working cohesively and in communication. And they may respond by altering its growth patterns and resource distribution. This adaptive ability can help stabilize ecosystems and maintain balance. Yeah. The incredible intelligence within networks, sometimes called the Wood Wide Web, is a reminder of interconnectedness of life. That's what we're talking about, people. Now, psilocybin is the experiential side of the plant world, where you have the mycelium, which is under the soil and through, but the fruiting body, the mushroom cap, where all the fun is. Yes, I said it. That's where you see the medicine at its most potency. However, it's been shown that you can find chemical compounds of psilocybin within the mycelial network, which speaks to also plants stressing out and possibly needing this medicine. Oh my God. So magic mushrooms, when ingested, psilocybin is converted by the body into psilocin, which interacts with serotonin receptors in the brain, leading to altered perception, mood, and consciousness. Because when we're talking about alchemizing, when we're talking about alchemy, we need to understand what alchemy really is, and especially in the spiritual world, because this is my jam. This is my work. It is not just about evolution. When we're talking about consciousness and consciousness healing, we're talking about involution. This is the discovery of self so that we may evolve into that gorgeous flower, into that gorgeous mushroom cap fruiting body, and be seen by the world. But it's a process, and it is a lifelong process in becoming who you want to be, in manifesting into who you are, rather than playing the role that you've been playing for a long time that isn't working. It's not working. Although those negative pathways, those belief systems, you're holding on to them because they are serving you in some way. I'll tell you some of mine. Let's get real. In my depressive states, I've thought, my mother has died, my sister died, and I fear the loss of the people that I love the most, especially my husband and my children. And I actually died several seconds after giving birth to my daughter, and she's now a little over a year old. But it was a very, very rough experience, and it all happened because I didn't take my herbs. And I was just very, very sick from having eaten bad shellfish earlier in the day. Yeah, not smart choices. And I will share that whole story because it's an epic one. But essentially, I had a seizure right after she was born, and I died. And I did not get that illuminary, I've studied near-death experiences. I've studied cosmic consciousness experiences with things like psilocybin, macrodosing psilocybin, and things like ayahuasca, and how people experience this cosmic death of identity, and then all these beautiful colors and experiences, and they speak to the goddess, or they speak to all these amazing entities, and I didn't get any of that. And I was like, what the man? So in that experience of dying, and it took many, many months for, in my dreams, to get those messages, because, and I truly believe this, I wasn't meant to have that experience at the time because I needed to come back. My baby was just born. My husband was freaking out, obviously not externally. He was trying to keep it together, but it was a very traumatic experience for him, because the midwife is bringing me back to life for several minutes. And it wasn't until he told me this, he said that it wasn't until I said, "Come on back, baby," that they started getting a heartbeat. And it's really funny because when I first got pregnant with this daughter, Ava, I remember seeing myself almost dying in childbirth, but it was my mother that called me back and told me to come back. And in the actual experience, it was my husband. And that just speaks to the tie that my spirit has to him, and our mission together with Mystic Rebels and so much more. And I came back, and you guys, having the postpartum experience in the hospital, it was traumatic. It was awful. And as a holistic practitioner and an herbalist, there was a part of me that was really like, why the didn't you take your herbs? Why? We wouldn't be here if we did XYZ. And also in alchemistic astrology, my husband's astrology, he had seen from the jump point of us getting pregnant that there was going to be an event that involved my blood and my hormones. And so when we went to talk to our midwife, and she was really excited because she had a trainee, and she said to me first, she goes, Ashley, I'd love your permission to have a trainee. She's great, but I need to know if that's okay with you to have her as my second at the birth. And I was like, yeah, of course, sure, why not? Because I think that it's not necessarily the certifications that give us the qualifications. Sometimes there are very capable and storied past people who are just now getting their certifications. But my husband was adamant, no. And I was like, okay. Mainly because if my husband is adamant about something, which is very rare, I'm going to say, okay. You don't have to give me the reason, but okay, that's fair, because our birth experience was also his experience. Not fully, because obviously she came out of me. But ending up in the hospital and then getting multiple doctors coming in, telling me different things. And one finally told me that my white blood cell count was really high. And I was like, oh, that's probably because I have food poisoning or I'm sick. And they're like, well, we want to keep you and we want to do a check and we just want to make sure you're okay. And then I found out later that each time a new doctor would come into my room, they get to charge you individually. And for any time that you open your mouth, they get to charge you. It's ridiculous. It's a system that's broken and needs to be desperately fixed and integrated with the holistic mindset. And it was just one of those experiences that I needed to have because it was traumatic. And it wasn't just that. They forcibly pushed down on my womb, the sensitive little part of me that just gave birth less than an hour ago, and they're pushing, and none of that happened with my first birth because it was a home birth, and midwives for the most part are there to nurture the natural experience of birth and how it's a miracle. That's not so in the hospital. And I asked them to stop. I said, please, I don't want this anymore. And she's like, I'm really sorry, but I have to do it. I said, And she said, well, you're just not shrinking down fast enough. I was like, well, that's probably because you idiots are giving me Pitocin, and Pitocin is softening everything. So stop giving me Pitocin, give me vitamin C, give me magnesium instead, and you won't have to worry about me having another seizure. And she's like, well, I'll talk to the doctor about it. I was like, no, just do it. I don't want this anymore. And I fell asleep, and thankfully they let me have my baby so I could breastfeed her there, and she wasn't a patient of theirs. But it was just a really awful, awful experience. And for any mother out there who has had the postpartum experience in the hospital and it was traumatic, and some people don't even realize that it's traumatic. They're just like, oh, this is what it is, but it was terrible. That's not what it's supposed to be. And then I had this feeling like I was alone, and I didn't see my mother and my sister when I died. And there was a part of me that was like, is there a God? Am I just in this place of illusion? And have I just been doing this work because I love it, but it's not real? And I really went down this path of who the am I? Seriously. And I even had like a breakup with tarot. I've been doing tarot since I was 12 years old, and I'm a teacher and an educator when it comes to diving deep into tarot, and I do it professionally. And I was like, I don't want to touch a tarot deck. I don't want to touch any of this stuff. I don't even know who I am. And it was really rough because at the same time, I have this tiny person who I didn't get to have that moment postpartum with her. I didn't get to have the golden hour. I didn't get to hold her and look at her and bask in the beauty of what we created. It was really, really hard. And apparently I'm still processing it while microdosing. Thank you, Spirit. And my husband also, like, me dying, that was really hard for him. And it brought up a lot of wounds. So the postpartum experience for both of us was really rough. And I remember I dropped her when she was 3 weeks old because she could move her head and neck. And that's the moment that I discovered it. And it was just, I just felt like I was such a terrible mother. I felt like I was failing her. And it's only now, after microdosing, that I realized that I had to get stronger for her, that she chose me so that I could evolve and involve into the person, the mother that she needed me to be, that you guys need me to be, that our community needs me to be. And, this is before we started our school. And it wasn't until I found, and my husband was dealing with some major depression, major issues, because my father simultaneously ghosted us. That was an awful experience. And so he was dealing with his father wound and just everything that he went through with the birth. And he was dealing with some dark depression. I won't speak for him, but that's how I found this medicine. And for a couple years, I was like, Logan, I feel like psilocybin is the medicine for you, honey. I feel like it is, because it really it helps create new neural pathways. It's my work, but on a way more powerful Mother Gaia is here to help kind of way. But mushrooms only do so much for you, and he had to be open to it. I couldn't just put it in his coffee, which he was drinking at the time, and now he doesn't drink coffee anymore. And there's been so many wonderful transformations for him and for me too. I found grace as a mother by taking psilocybin, and very, very small microdosings. I started with 50 milligrams, not grams. That's excessive. A macro dose, for reference, in a clinical environment is between like 10 and 30 grams. And that's a serious psychoactive. You have to have a therapist and a specialty team there to help you go through the journey, because it's a journey, and it can be very traumatic, and it can be very it's like 10 years of really painful and powerful subconscious reprogramming in 6 hours. I can't do that, and neither could my husband, because we have to be very conscious for our family. We got 2 littles now, and obviously for our clients and all that, and we really didn't want to have a psychedelic experience. However, you can take a microdose of the same medicine that can alter someone's perception, and then for 6 to months after the experience, they're continuously integrating the lessons that came through from that experience. And instead of seeing entities when you're having these aha moments, it's just coming from your own subconscious, and it's becoming conscious. So a big one that came through for me was the necessity to stop judging myself so much, and to stop judging my faith so much, and to actually, it was tested through this. And then I started having these dreams, these really beautiful experiences where I was talking to my guides or my mother or my sister, and I was seeing, even my baby was in a few of them, but she was much older and she was talking to me, and I was just like, this is amazing. But it was always emotional. And that's the thing about psilocybin. It will require emotional release. It will require you to connect the dots of the lies you've been telling yourself and serving yourself, the things you've been consuming your entire life, the lies that you adopted from your mother, your father, the authority figures in your life, the people who had the power to form your conscious awareness of self. without saying, oh, but that's just me, honey. That doesn't have to be you. Or, oh, that's just my belief, but you can believe something else. We didn't have that, most of us growing up. And I'm trying to do that with my child. And this medicine is also helping me with that. It's helping me not care so much about the things that I didn't get done, or not judging myself in thinking that I'm not the right mother for them. I went back to my true honored belief that I feel in my heart and in every connected aspect of my humanity that my children chose me. And that's when I had the aha moment of, I just need to see my own strength. I need to honor it. And I went inside myself with my depression for a long time. We were on social media, and people would be like, we want to see more Ashley. We want to hear more from Ashley. We want her to teach herbalism. We want her to teach all of this. And I loved it. It was so wonderful to be so supported and so wanted. But simultaneously, I was like, I don't want to do anything. When I was depressed, I didn't want to do anything. I was like, I just have to focus on this baby. I have to keep this baby alive. And it was not serving me or my children or the kind of mother I want to be or the kind of environment that I want to cultivate. And at the time, I wasn't really doing much tarot because my heart was kind of closed to it. And I finally started microdosing, and I started shuffling my cards again and trusting myself again and realizing that the death of who I was simply a phoenix moment where I was meant to come back stronger, better, more empowered, and that this message, this work that I have to do required me to experience something truly authentic and traumatic, and something that was going to bring me messages that would allow me to be the healer or to be the teacher to people so that they can heal themselves. That is what this experience has brought forth within me, this interconnectedness. The first time I microdosed, I went outside and I was just like, oh my God. This world is beautiful, and not in a, whoa, I could see perfectly. And actually, I felt like the medicine gave me sight to see my world perfectly and to see who I am perfectly and to honor the beauty within me. I have always been very insecure about complimenting myself or being complimented, or, I was taught that you have to be humble. However, I think that humble can also make us crumble in terms of seeing our worth. And I was like, okay, humility is great, but who am I and why am I here? And there's no reason for me to play small about it. And the medicine gave me that moment, and I started gardening. I started putting my hands in dirt, not just my feet. I started putting my hands in dirt and be like, oh my God, this is where I belong. And then, of course, when I'm with my family, I'm like, this is where I belong. And when I'm doing my readings for my clients, this is where I belong. And instead of believing that I have to do one thing and one thing really good and I can't do it all, because that's a lie that society teaches us, especially as mothers, that you have to just focus on your children and make sure your kitchen is clean and everyone's fed and do the laundry, and then that should be enough. It's not enough. It's not enough. It's a lot, and we love it. But sometimes I want to say the laundry. Sometimes I want to say the dishes. I never want to say my kids, but sometimes I want to be like, mommy needs a minute. Mommy needs a few minutes, and my children are feral and I don't want to break them. I don't want to make them smaller so that my life is easier now. No, I want to build them up while simultaneously directing their energy towards something that's better than, don't hit your sister. Don't okay, let's do a puzzle. Let's redirect the energy. We shouldn't hit. We cannot hit. It is not okay to be violent. Open heart, open hand, gentle. Constantly telling my toddler not to hit or push or, but simultaneously I have to remember that she's just now realizing that she's separate from mommy and daddy, and she's loving that freedom. And also she doesn't like to nap, so she gets overtired. And instead of it being my fault, instead of me thinking, if I was a better mother, if I did this or if I did this better, and I need to stop focusing on my work and I need to focus entirely on her and I need to do all these lessons and I need to teach her, the medicine helps me calm down and really allows other aspects of my consciousness, the part of me that could be more nourishing, could be more loving, to come forth and speak to me through me the truth of my existence and the truth of what will set me free, because that's what will do it, baby. The truth will set you free. And I honestly believe that for most people, this medicine can awaken new creativity. I mean, it's not just my belief. I've experienced it, and so many others have experienced it. When we talk about people who have had mind-altering experiences, their lives are transformed in one sitting from 6 hours of the heavy-duty concentration of the medicine. Now, when you're doing it on a microdosing level, it's gentle medicine. And some days, if you don't take it with intention, and if you don't actually ask the medicine for what you need, you'll experience nothing. You'll experience too much. And many times my husband has been like, I took it this morning and it's not doing anything, Ashley. He doesn't say Ashley. And I'll be like, okay, did you set an intention when you took it? And he'd be like, I thought I did, but I guess not. I'm like, okay, stop what you're doing right now. Reconnect to the medicine. Ask for what you fucking need and you shall receive. And it's really funny because, my husband, he got into astrology as a skeptic to debunk it. And years ago, when I started practicing herbal medicine, he was just in awe of some of the things that I would show him, particularly flower essences and other medicines that don't actually have any chemical constituents in them, but just the energy of the sun and the energy of the plant infused into a tincture. And he was like, what is this? So he's had so many amazing aha moments with plants. However, he reverts back to his subconscious reprogramming and realizes, okay, my mother taught me that medicine comes in a bottle and you just take it. And that's what society has taught me. But I'm learning that medicine is connection. And without that connection, especially with plant medicine, there's so many people who are like, it doesn't work for me because you're not connecting to the medicine. You're not connecting to the energetics of the plant, of the truth that the plant wants you to see. It's a message. It's not just a bandage solution. And sometimes people aren't ready to hear those messages. And so plant medicine isn't for them. But that day, I remember we went to the ocean. We went to the sand, and he took off his shoes, and he was like, okay, I'm feeling it. And I was like, really? What are you feeling? It's like, I'm really happy right now. I'm really happy right now. And I just want to play and have fun. And I was like, do it. Go, baby, run in the sand. And he was going around with Ava, and he was letting her like walk wherever she wanted and doing her thing and just laughing and playing with her and just not taking life so serious. And I think that is the aha moment that we all have on this medicine, is that life doesn't have to be hard and life doesn't have to be so serious, that Mother Nature has got us. I have had so many aha moments, and I've even had days where I would take it in the morning and then not set an intention, and then I'm like, I don't understand what's happening. And Logan would be like, baby, did you shrew me? And then I'll be like, yes. And then I'm like, oh shit, I didn't set an intention. Oh my God, what's wrong with me? Like, no, let's not criticize in the process of healing. Let's just redirect the energy. And then I'm like, okay, And then I found that I needed to talk about my sister and I needed to cry about her because she's a big wound of mine. No matter how many times I cry about her, she is the reason why I'm doing this, because she unalived herself. And there's a big part of me that wishes I could wind the clock back and just hand her this medicine. But I know I can't do that. But that's why this podcast was so important to me, that it's not just, talking about a product. It's not just that. It's something I believe in. It's something that I know can save lives and save spirits, because that is what this work does. That is what plant medicine does. It reminds us of our spirit, of our individuality, of our magic within. And it could be for everyone, but there are people who think it's woo-woo and that there's no science behind it. And oh my God, there is so much science behind it. But at the end of the day, I don't need to teach you chemical constituents. We can talk about the doctrine of signatures and simply the mind-altering effects, the appearance of the mushrooms, which can look unusual and worldly. If you look at mushrooms, they for the longest time, people are like, mushrooms are weird. I don't like mushrooms. Guess what? I'm fucking weird. I'm weird. And that medicine in me, we are best friends for life. And I'm reminded of my own quirkiness and authenticity and stepping into that and honoring that. If my sister had known that she was fucking special and that the lies she was telling herself were creating this shell around her existence and creating this blockage between her and the experience of the outward world, which is what we need to be in order to really reflect on who we are, then she wouldn't have turned so deep into the pharmaceutical industry, because they just kept giving her more stuff and more stuff. And she kept getting bigger and bigger, and she just became a shell of her former self. And I remember the last time I saw her, I remember seeing her and I hadn't gotten into herbal medicine yet, but I knew she needed help. And I knew that the doctors and the people that she was working with were not helping her. And I realized after she died that the pharmaceutical industry is not here to heal us. It is here to help us in cases of emergency, long enough for us to get real help and healing through Mother Nature, through our nature, through connection of spirit, through journeying into our souls and who we are meant to be and our energetic imprint on this planet, because each and every one of you is so fucking special. Each and every one of you has a mission and has something to say that people need to hear. So hear me when I say that this medicine is so important. And I'm really excited because RFK, in working with Trump, whatever you think about Trump, it doesn't matter, because Trump hopefully is mobilizing RFK to legalize these substances, because they've been demonized for so long and repressed for so long, because they know it'll help people, because they're not in the business of healing people and helping people. They're in the business of bandage solutions that lead to them spending more money because of the cascade of issues that one pill or that one treatment created. Oh my God. Sorry, guys. Oh, Mama went off book there. But I honestly feel like that's really the message of this medicine, is that we have to remember who we are, and who we are is fucking magical. You are a magical, energetic, miraculous being. So ask yourself, what is your mission? If you want to connect to your mission and you are interested in this medicine, this is the brand. This is the one I found. And I was so amazed, because for the longest time I thought that you had to find a person who you had to talk to on the phone, who you had to spend hundreds of dollars on just through sessions with them. And then on top of that, the medicine. And my husband was not going to do that. And I was just like, Spirit, how can I get this medicine into my husband? And at the time I did not intend on taking it. because I was concerned about breastfeeding. And then I did my own research and also my own work with my guides and realized I had to take this medicine on a very small dose. But this popped up. I found this company, Microdosify, and they have many different doses. You can get a starter pack with different doses, anything from 500 milligrams, which I've never taken, but my husband has, to 125, which is what I take now, even though I started with a 50 milligram dose. And they also have 200. And this medicine is great for depression, for people who want to connect to their own sense of creativity, authenticity, which is where creativity comes. And I'm just so honored to be an affiliate with them, but it wasn't that I set out to be an affiliate with them. I became an affiliate after almost a year of working with their medicine and also recommending it to my clients and seeing that this is not just, oh my God, I'm taking mushrooms. No, this is the real deal. If there was ever a medicine that I wish I could have given to my sister and even my mother too, this would be it. But again, you have to set an intention. This is magic, but so are you. And you have to use your magic in partnership with this plant medicine. And not only does it have the psilocybin, but it also has lion's mane, which is great for neural connectivity. Both mushrooms are great for neural plasticity, but lion's mane is especially known for its golden teacher aspect. If you look at the mushroom, it looks magical, and it looks like it has wisdom within it that it just is a teacher. Okay, I'm going to eat that, and then I'm going to experience some new aspect of myself or new experience. And it's not a psychoactive substance. Lion's mane is wonderful for people who are dealing with, what's the word? We call it dementia or brain fog. But really, it's a loss of self. It's a loss of connectivity. It's a loss of connection from our nature to nature. That's really what the problem is, guys. Mother Gaia, nature, Earth, whatever you want to call her, she's there just waiting for us to connect to her in order for us to remember how freaking amazing we are in honoring how amazing she is. This medicine is incredible. It'll be linked down below if you're interested, but just know that I wouldn't suggest anything to you or a client or a family member that I haven't experienced myself and firsthand truly believe in the mission of this company. They also do a program where it's very inexpensive, but they do integration sessions. And I do that with my clients where we're integrating the wisdom. It's not just the aha moments. How do we integrate it into who we want to be and this new life that we're reconstructing based on these new neural pathways? Because neurons that fire together eventually wire together. So we're creating new belief systems while simultaneously connecting with our magic, with our power, and the reminder that we are not alone. That is what plant medicine does. And I am so excited to hear down below anybody who's experienced psilocybin on a microdosing level or a macrodosing level, how it's changed your life. The stories are endless. And Paul Stamets, he recommends a stack with niacin. I don't recommend that because I didn't think it was necessary. I understand from a scientific standpoint why he recommends that, because then it gets into the peripheral, but it can also be really uncomfortable and itchy, and I was not having that. And I knew my husband would be like, what the fuck? No, I don't want this. He does not like being uncomfortable. So we didn't do that, but we followed a protocol where it's 1 day on, 1 day off. Or we also followed the protocol of 4 days on and 1 day off. And that was Logan's protocol at the very beginning. For me, it's as needed. It's maybe once a week now, but I also recommend that people do journaling, do meditation. Once you've connected to the medicine and understand its potency, then you can start venturing out, and you can even take it while you're driving or while you're working. There's been no issues with people and their conscious awareness of self and how their self is in communication with the world around us. So basically, you can drive a car, you can go shopping at the grocery store. I've done all these things. However, in the first few days of taking the medicine, I really, really recommend that people connect to that potency, to connect to that power. And if you can, go into nature and just be in awe and remember that you are a reflection of her magic and she is a reflection of yours. Oh, you guys. Thank you so much for coming to this medicine when it's right for you. I think that plant medicine speaks to us when it's time. So if you're seeing this podcast, it means your heart is open, your mind is ready, and please let us know in the comments how you experience it. If you're a student of ours, share that in Circle. We have an amazing school that I am so grateful to be a part of. I teach herbalism, I teach tarot, I teach divine connection to yourself and magic. I do rituals. We're about to do a full moon ritual. And we have a book club. There's so much on top of that. Logan teaches alchemistic astrology, which can transform your life and your perception of self. We apply the astrology and the tarot and our psychic awareness and plant medicine, and everything that we share is what we use in our own lives to thrive and to vibe higher. So we hope you'll join us within Mystic Circle. It includes everything and it's one price. And we're just honored for you to share your time with us in there or when you're watching our podcasts. And please share your experience, strength, and hope with us down below. I am so grateful to have this platform to speak from the heart and to share my mission and my message. And that is that you're perfect, you were made perfect, and so is this planet. And we must be in communication with nature in order to discover our true nature. That's what I got for you today. Woo! And as always, wishing you all the best and hoping that you will vibe higher.